Welcome to Support Nature, Everyday Tricks. Have you ever wondered how to take real, effective steps to protect nature and biodiversity? Today, let's look at 10 ways we can make a real difference in the variety of life on Earth. These include managing invasive species, rethinking traditional lawns, and supporting pollinators. Let's check them all out. Number 10. Strengthen environmental laws. Environmental laws are essential to protect different types of plants, animals, and their habitats. Within the U.S., 27 major environmental protections were recently restored, undoing some previous cuts. One well-known example is the designation of the emperor penguin as a threatened species, which grants it legal protections against climate risks, like melting ice. Since 2021, the government has also worked to protect old-growth forests, which are critical for many species. Around the world, stronger environmental rules push countries to set big goals for saving nature. For example, China aims to set aside 25% of its land for nature reserves by 2030, protecting critical areas for biodiversity, such as the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau. Strict global regulations could save as many as 1 million species from extinction in the next century. Number 9. Limit harmful lithium mining. The demand for lithium has risen due to the growth in electric vehicles and consumer electronics, but lithium mining has significant environmental effects. Today, 70% of the world's lithium comes from South America, where mining reduces groundwater, damages soil, and pollutes fragile ecosystems. It takes about 500,000 gallons of water to extract 1 ton of lithium, which affects farms and natural areas, especially in dry regions like the Salar de Atacama in Chile. New technologies, like solid-state batteries, use fewer materials and last longer than lithium-ion batteries, potentially reducing environmental damage. For example, Tesla is exploring lithium iron phosphate (LFP) for future car models. LFP requires less lithium and reduces the need for other hazardous materials. Number 8. Collaborate more with indigenous communities. Indigenous people have deep knowledge of their local environments, passed down through many generations. In indigenous territories, biodiversity is 25% higher in the Amazon rainforest than in other protected areas. This shows how effective indigenous-led conservation is. For example, Canada has invested over $100 million in indigenous-led projects, such as restoring salmon populations and conserving caribou habitats. In the U.S., the Restoring America's Wildlife Act provides almost $10 million for indigenous-led conservation efforts, acknowledging the key role of indigenous communities in protecting biodiversity. In Australia, traditional fire management techniques led by indigenous communities are helping to restore ecosystems and prevent large wildfires, allowing native plants and animals to thrive. Number 7. Plan for pollinators. Pollinators like bees, butterflies, and birds are crucial for over 75% of global food crops, supporting an estimated $577 billion in agricultural production each year. But pollinator populations are declining, which threatens food security and biodiversity. Creating environments that help pollinators is essential. In urban spaces, planting native flowers like milkweed, echinacea, and sunflowers provides food and shelter for pollinators. Using fewer pesticides also helps because pesticides harm pollinators and contaminate their food sources. In China, a recent study found that crop yields increased by 30% when farms were located near pollinator-friendly areas. Beyond single garden efforts, some cities are adding pollinator-friendly spaces to their designs. Number 6. Support seed banks. Seed banks are a valuable resource for preserving biodiversity. They store seeds and plant materials for future reforestation and ecosystem restoration efforts. There are more than 1,750 seed banks worldwide, holding around 7 million samples. One example is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway, which can hold up to 4.5 million types of seeds. Seed banks help preserve the genetic variety of crops and local plant species, which is critical as we face climate change and habitat loss. For instance, the International Potato Center in Peru has saved thousands of potato varieties that are essential for the food security of farmers in the Andes. Innovative projects like terraformation are creating portable seed banks in shipping containers, each holding up to 5 million seeds, to speed up tree planting and protect a variety of plant species. Number 5. Protect ocean life. Oceans cover 71% of the Earth and are home to approximately 2 million known species, with countless others still undiscovered. But threats like overfishing, ocean acidification, and harmful fishing practices are damaging marine ecosystems. Aquaculture, or farming seafood in controlled environments, can help reduce pressure on wild fish populations. Today, over 50% of the world's seafood comes from aquaculture, helping to decrease overfishing. Additionally, carbon emissions increase ocean acidification, which harms coral reefs and other marine life. Coral reefs support 25% of ocean species, despite covering only 1% of the ocean floor. Reducing carbon emissions and overfishing can help slow ocean acidification and protect these ecosystems. Number 4. Restore damaged habitats. Restoring damaged habitats can bring back biodiversity and improve ecosystems. There are over 2 billion hectares of degraded land worldwide, affecting about 1.5 billion people and many types of wildlife. In 1995, restoring wolves to Yellowstone helped rebalance the ecosystem. The beaver population increased, willow trees regrew, and over 30 other species found new habitats. New technology, like drones that plant trees, is speeding up restoration. In Brazil, drone planting programs aim to grow 1 million trees by 2025. Coastal restoration efforts, like Florida's Black Mangrove Program, improve tidal flow and provide shelter for animals like fish and crabs. Each restored habitat strengthens biodiversity and supports various species. Number 3. Rethink lawns. Lawns cover about 40 million acres in the U.S., using more water than any other crop but offering little support for biodiversity. Lawns are often called biodiversity deserts because they lack the variety and nutrients of natural habitats. Lawns require nearly 9 billion gallons of water each day, along with chemical fertilizers and pesticides, which harm local water quality. Replacing grass with eco-friendly options like clover, wildflowers, or buffalo grass can cut water use by up to 75% and attract local insects and birds. Some California cities even pay homeowners to replace traditional lawns with native plants. Making lawns more diverse can reduce environmental impact and provide habitat for pollinators and other local species. Number 2. Raise awareness of invasive species. Invasive species contribute to almost 50% of the decline in native, at-risk species worldwide, so controlling them is essential to protect biodiversity. The U.S. spends over $120 billion each year managing invasive species, which disrupt ecosystems and harm native plants and animals. For example, the fast-spreading tree of heaven grows unchecked in many urban and suburban areas. Apps like iNaturalist help people identify and report invasive species, supporting local management efforts. Communities can protect habitats and improve ecosystem health by removing invasive plants and replanting native species. Educating people about invasive species encourages them to help protect local biodiversity. Number 1. Protect national parks and enforce conservation laws. National parks cover about 15% of the world and are vital for preserving unique habitats and species. The U.S. has over 400 national parks, protecting 84 million acres that include the habitats of endangered species like the grizzly bear and California condor. The Recovering America's Wildlife Act allocated $1.4 billion for biodiversity conservation across the U.S. in 2022. Enforcing conservation laws and limiting industrial activities like mining and logging in national parks will help keep these areas safe. Funding for conservation programs is critical to protecting natural habitats from urban growth. National parks protect unique ecosystems, allowing countless species to thrive away from human development. Using these 10 strategies, we can all help protect biodiversity. Whether supporting pollinators or pushing for stronger laws, each action matters. Share your thoughts in the comments and check out Support Nature, Everyday Tricks for more ways to help biodiversity.